I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands.
Welcome to Build an Iconic Life podcast. I'm your host, Chris Whitehead, and this podcast is dedicated to help you build a life with zero regrets by focusing on how you have everything you need to stand up, stand out, and live life on your terms. Let's dive right in. So, hey, everybody, welcome to Build an Iconic Life. I'm here with Adam Peters. He's a veteran from the Army and has a paid community where he is truly doing everything he can to not only be an entrepreneur, but to help veterans transition back into civilian life, overcome PTSD, and stop 22 deaths a day for people that, sacrificed, everything for our freedom. And I think it's an extremely noble cause. I think you picked one of the hardest things on earth to do, to be an entrepreneur. And the beautiful part behind that is you already have experience doing hard shit, really, really hard shit. So the biggest thing that I believe is, and the thing I'm most proud about, right? I own multiple businesses, made money, lost money, all the stuff. But the thing I'm proud about is that I never quit on me. Because there were lots of opportunities to do so. And I think you have a very similar message with what you're doing, brother. It's like, hey, man, I know the shit's hard right now, but there are people that are here. And you said something earlier that I resonate with because I found out the same thing. Community. It's really about being in a community of like-minded people that you don't have to over-explain yourself. You've been through the same stuff together. Some better, some worse, but we're here together and we're here to thrive together. What drew you specifically to wanting to do this for the veteran community?
Yeah, man. Good question. Really good question. This is something that I really just kind of discovered about myself. I've been asking myself this question for several months. And what was it? And I remember I was not in a good place when I got med boarded. I was medically retired from the Army after 4 deployments. So I was a career guy. I was not very happy. That's what started my spiral. And I kind of knew at the time I always just wanted to continue to be a leader of soldiers. So I think ultimately what drew me back to that is, after spending 8 years in what I call the transition hole, and then, having an ayahuasca experience to wake me up and change my life, I realized that I can still do that. I just have to figure out what that looks like. And honestly, my journey started just getting on LinkedIn, finding like-minded people who I was interested in, commenting, engaging with them, building a network. And that led to me joining my first paid community and getting a mentor who really said I had something here. And I really liked the community aspect of it. And I knew what it had done for me. So I started the community, man. And I did that on the basis of all the veteran groups that are out there are primarily on Facebook. And I hate Facebook. I hate Facebook so much. I think it's a toxic cesspool that I'll even go as far as to say perpetuates the suicide epidemic, because it's not a place where you can be vulnerable, express what you're going through, and find out that you're not alone. It's a place where you go and you talk about those things and people attack you, rip you to shreds, beat you down instead of bring you up. And I wanted to create the antithesis of that. So when I started the Stronghold, that was rule number one: is there's not a place here for you if you're a guy that's going to come in here and talk shit and say, well, because you didn't make 20 years, you can't call yourself a retiree. And it's like, fuck you. I beg to differ, because I got a blue ID card that says I'm fucking retired. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm happy to say that I've achieved that. I have people in there talking about abusive relationships for their whole life and having to end that cycle. And what them coming into the community and allowing them to post about those things and getting positive feedback from others, knowing that they're not the only ones who's been through that, right? I've had several women on the podcast, my podcast, that talk about military sexual trauma and opened my eyes to a whole entire side of the military that I didn't know was going on, because I was not in a female oriented, MOS when I was in the Army. It was, the infantry before women were allowed in the infantry. So I was all males. I didn't work closely with females, and I was blind to the stuff. And showcasing that draws more people to the community, and they're like, man, you having that person on the podcast and then that person being in your community, now I know that I'm not alone. I can go talk to this person and I can get help with that thing, whatever it is, right? I see everything from not knowing how to network to I had a fitness coaching business while I was in, and I didn't know how to scale it. And it's like, man, I come up with a million ideas for everybody else. It's really hard to come up with your own ideas for your own thing. But when you have a community and it's a member driven community and you want to build things that they want, it really informs the ideas for what you're going to build in your thing. So that's really the idea behind it, man. And community is so important because I thought I could do it alone, and I quickly found out that when you start doing shit alone, you just fall deeper and deeper into that hole.
Yeah, dude. There's so many experiments out there that humans are meant to be community oriented. If you isolate, like, one of the best tortures you can do for a human is put them in solitary confinement in a small box and leave them there with no outside communication. And the thing is, especially for us guys, the first thing that we want to do when we get hurt is leave me the fuck alone. And we hole up and we don't speak and we don't feel anything. I have two emotions. I love you and I want to kill you. That's like the only things that so teaching people to be vulnerable again is probably one of the most difficult things on earth. The other thing that you said that I think is really important, that all entrepreneurism is, right? All it really boils down to is somebody has something that they want done. You provide a valuable proposition for them and you do it, and they exchange money in return for that, right? And so by you taking the time of going, hey, I'm going to I'm going to hold a bucket. I'm going to listen to what all these people are saying. And then I'm going to bring them the resource that they're all asking for, is one of the most brilliant ways to do anything. Because first of all, how many businesses do you think survive 10 years?
Oh man, it's probably maybe 15% of them.
It's even smaller.
Okay.
Right? So over 95% of businesses no longer exist in 10 years. One of the main reasons is somebody is going, I really want to do this thing. They're not thinking about the client. They're thinking about themselves. And the real part about being an entrepreneur, a great one, is that you take your eyeballs off of profit. I know this sounds crazy. You take your eyeballs about anything off of self and you just serve people.
Yes, I agree 1,000%, man. This makes me so happy because I don't think this is talked about enough. I just got into monthly recurring revenue a month ago with the community, and I have not been focused on money at all in the 11 months I've been doing this, and it's been the greatest thing I could have ever done. And selfishly, the community serves me because to fill my cup, I need to help people.
Yeah.
And so I get to wake up every day and just give knowledge to people that I've acquired over my almost 40 years of life. And I get to watch that improve their lives. And how could money make that any better? Like, the only way I could see money makes that better is it just allows me to reach more people.
Absolutely. It's a tool.
Right, but it's not. I'm not here to fill my pockets. Like, obviously I need to put food on the table. I would like to, there's a lot of things that money will allow me to do in the future, but it's not my main concern. My main concern is stopping these people from going down the same path I did, ending up in a spot where you're riding that motorcycle at 120 miles an hour saying, I don't know why I'm alive. Let me throw this into a tree. Or sitting drunk in your living room with a gun in your lap talking about, I wish I had the balls to pull the trigger because I don't want to be here anymore. Right? Like, that's the whole point is if I can just stop one of them from doing that, then I'm successful. I've done everything I set out to do, and it doesn't have to be tied to money.
Have you met a guy named Adam Smith?
I have not.
Okay. So, former special forces, he's spoken on my stages. He is a coach's coach. He's about 270 pounds of like muscle. Will punch you in the face, but at the same time give you a bear hug, right?
Yeah.
And I need to introduce you two to one another, because I don't want to share his intro video, but it does have to do with a gun, and it has to do with a heartbeat that you hear in the background. And then it has to do with the decision that he chose to make instead, and start getting up and getting after it again, life.
Yeah.
And I have a number of friends that are special forces, just because I had the opportunity to coach a very large mastermind with like a couple thousand entrepreneurs in it. And we started bringing special forces guys in because of the elite level training that they can provide. And come to find out, they also want to be entrepreneurs. They also, everything you're doing is perfect. And I want to introduce you to some of these guys. Another friend of mine, Dr. Matt Chalmers, down in Texas, Dallas. He's he's one of my best friends, and he's also my doctor, and he's holistic. He just finished a bodybuilding competition, and he did it only for one reason. He's selling supplements online. 100% of the proceeds from those supplements go to PTSD, plant medicine. It's $3 to $5 grand a pop to get this stuff done.
Yep.
So what he's going to do is take because he found out first responders, believe it or not, have more trauma than veterans do.
It's true.
And it goes undiagnosed because we're only and I'm not taking anything away from veterans, but it's first responders and veterans that are going to be receiving the care from that. And I want to introduce him to you as well, just because what you're doing is important. Look, we take young men, they're 17, 18 years old. We get them jazzed up on, it used to be movies and G.I. Joe. Now it's video games where they're disassociated from what the actual act is that they're doing. We send them over there with no emotional training whatsoever, force them to fight this fight. Don't give them money. Don't bring money back to their families. Then we say, oh, you're done. Come on back. I'm sorry you got blown up. Come hang out. And there's no real help. I have friends that they for years have to go to the VA hospitals, and they're not getting the care that they need. Even though it doesn't cost them anything, it's still not the right care. And these are people that willingly said, I'm willing to go give my life up for this cause that I believe in. I just think for somebody like you to take it upon yourself to do it instead of waiting for somebody to provide it for you, that is a warrior to me. A warrior is not somebody that lives behind, the government and says, well, we'll just let them decide how we're going to do it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I know this might piss a lot of people off, but I think veterans as a community have to open their eyes to that. I think a lot of us, I'm guilty of this too. Before the ayahuasca, before the plant medicine, I was sitting around waiting for something, feeling a little entitled because I served the country, right? Like, yeah. I went to war 4 times for you, and you're feeling a little entitled, sitting around waiting for somebody else to make the change. And at some point you wake up and realize the only way that change is going to happen is if people from the community drive that change. Like, that's the only way. Like, who else is better equipped to make the changes that we need? Like somebody who's lived it. And it fits right with what I said earlier about I always knew I wanted to continue to lead soldiers. Now I get to lead all members of the military, which is really freaking cool, and it's really scary. And I oftentimes don't think that I'm the right person to be doing this. And all the emotions that come with setting out to be an entrepreneur, the imposter syndrome, the analysis paralysis, and the just general, not believing in yourself as much as you probably should until you start taking action and doing it. And then it resonates with people and they're like, holy shit, why didn't I find you sooner? When you send out an email, right, kind of playing the marketing game for the community, and you send out an email like, hey, we're closing the doors for an indefinite period of time and the price is going up because we know what we have here is valuable. And somebody joins from that email and says, that email is exactly what I needed to get out of my own way. Thank you for sending that email. And I'm so glad I joined this community. And then they go, and the day after they join, they share to their entire network what we're building in the community, and that there's a spot for other people, encouraging others to come to the community. I'd say I built something that's really pretty powerful there,
Bro, you see that flame?
I do.
That flame represents the spark of divinity that's inside of all of us. And a lot of people come to my community. And I was actually just on I was hosting another podcast, and I told the gentleman the same thing. Like, people don't come to me because they're like this. They don't come to me like showing the S on the chest. They come to me like, holy shit, man, this whole business ownership thing is hard. And I go, I get you, brother. It is. Come inside. But that flame is what I'm supposed to do for my people. I'm supposed to see it, and I'm supposed to encourage it to build. And you were talking earlier, and all I could think about, have you ever seen the movie Mel Gibson? It's called The Patriot.
Yes, of course.
Do you remember when he finally just started guerrilla warfare?
Yes.
Instead of standing 20 feet in front of each other and shooting a pellet at one. With bro, my third core value is innovation. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, the one thing you've committed to, I believe, is not only innovating in business, it's innovating you as a human. It's making that flame get stronger and brighter. And the only thing you have to ever do, Adam, is become more. Those that are meant to follow will fucking follow. That's what I believe. And so the warriors show up. The ones that meant to do what they're supposed to do are going to go, hey, this is not the end of my life. It's another chapter. And it's brave as fuck of you to go through and tell the vulnerable story of like, hey, man, I was in the same exact boat. But eventually one day I'm sitting here, I've got a bottle of Jack in this hand and a gun in this hand, and I'm thinking. And I don't want to think like this anymore.
It's awful,
and so
man. It's terrible. Those thoughts.
You did something good about it, though.
Yeah.
You got up and moved. And that's what makes, if our country is great, if humanity is great, what makes it great is that there are people like you that stand up and say, I won't tolerate this anymore, and I'm not going to try to change you. I'm tired of that. I'm just going to change me. Now, I don't agree with you on Facebook because you can play with the algorithm until you don't see any of that nonsense anymore. And I mean, I delete people like mad. But I will say I'm proud of you for going, I don't even want to be a part of it, because you know what? I don't pay attention to the news. I don't pay attention to any media that I don't want to, because I'm programming me all the time with it. So this to me is how I connect with people. I also have people come in the studio. I own a couple businesses, so I'm constantly networking and doing stuff. But dude, when I was younger, I would allow anybody to lead me around by the dick.
Yeah.
And all for money. Because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And I end up being the dude sitting in the corner going, somebody fiddled with my pee-pee. I don't feel very happy about this. And it's like, yeah, but you encouraged him to do it, Chris. And I was like, I did. So it's a mind fuck, the whole thing. But when I finally started standing up for what I believe in, and that money wasn't the most important thing, that was what my calling was, to really help people. Dude, you don't have to have a business to help people. You can just go practice random acts of kindness and senseless acts of beauty that nobody ever knows about. And from there, you trust that the law of reciprocity will kick in, and then you start living a better life.
And it's true.
And then you encourage other people to do the same thing, dude.
It's so true, man. When you start just taking that action and helping others, the universe brings it back to you. It's I don't really know how to explain how that works, but I'm sitting here 11 months, 10 months, whatever, from November when I started, November 5th of 2023. It's September 6th of 2024. So not even a year. And it's all coming back to me now because I just set out to just help people. I mean, my growth strategy on LinkedIn was reaching out to people. If they connected with me or commented with me, I'd send them a Loom video saying, hey, so grateful that you interacted with my post or you connected with me. If there's ever anything I can do to help you, reach out. Just a little 1 minute personalized, awkward as fuck Loom video changed my life. It changed my life, man. And selfishly, it continues to change my life. I have something that heals me every single day. Like, how cool is that? Like, what better thing to be doing with my life? You know, like I get to help people, but selfishly it helps me.
You know, for some weird reason, we're not taught how to live successful lives. Like, you would think that from being born, being in a family, and then they trot you off to public schools, like they're going to teach you how to be successful. I thought that. I was naive as hell. No, they teach you how to be a very good cog in a wheel.
Yeah, they teach
right?
you how to be a wage slave. It's
Yes.
it's programmed slavery is what it is, if you think about it.
There is nothing wrong with helping you that helps me to help you to help me to help you to help me to continue to help you.
Correct.
And
And
if we
it's
actually taught people that, there would be there'd be less wars.
well,
Because why do it that way?
can I ask you a quick question? I know this is your show, but
Bro, it's this is about you.
I how like my big thing is we don't have to compete. There
Right.
is so much to go around. Why do we not help each other out? Why is not so particularly in the veteran community? I run into it with the nonprofit. There are organizations out there who all they care about is money. We're asking them to volunteer something, right? Like just put your label on our slideshow, and they're like, I don't think we can do that. It doesn't affect the bottom line. So we're not going to do that. And it's like, or they're like, well, you're going to take away from what we're doing over here. So no, we don't want to partner with you to do that. And I'm like, the only way we're going to stop this epidemic is if all the veteran organizations, other organizations come together out there and stop competing and just continue to help. And I promise the internet's a big place. There's plenty to go around because the stronghold, my community, I'm not for everybody. I understand that. You could have all the problems and I could create all the value in the world for you and you could see that. But because of me, you may not like me. You're not going to join. And that's fine. I can't help everybody, but I'm going to try and help as many as I can. And along the way, I'm going to help others do the same thing. And
Mm-hmm.
I think, I think for me, that's just the strategy that makes my life good. It just makes me feel good to be able to do that and not compete with others and just genuinely, I probably get 5 or 6 messages a week. Like, hey man, can you help me start a podcast? Yeah. Like book a call. Like I'll give you everything I know about how to do this. Right. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, will you help me? I'm thinking about starting my own community. Will you help me with, figure that out? Yeah. Hey, book a call. I'll show you the back end of my community, how I built it, why I built it, what's going on inside of there. And I'll even give you some ideas for your own community. In fact, just last week, I connected 6 women. We're all very interested in starting a female veterans community similar to what I've got going on. And I even told them how I would go about doing it because I'm not worried about competition. If this group of awesome power women in the veteran space can start their own community and reach more women veterans than I ever can, then why would I not help them do that? What's it taken away from me? It's
So
not.
I think that I kind of heard a question in there.
Yeah, sorry. It was
That's
a
okay,
rant.
bro.
It's a rant.
No, it's good. It's really good. I think that a lot of it comes down to personal self-worth and self-respect, which is another way of saying do people love themselves or not? And I think when you take a beast and you starve it and you're eating a feast in front of it, it becomes willing to do whatever it takes to get what it wants because it sees that as the prize. I think unfortunately we've made physical resources like in order to categorize them price wise, we have to assign values to them.
Right.
So another way to answer the question, like, dude, why is it that we like boobies in the U.S.? You go over to Africa, they don't care about boobies. They care about really long necks. In another country, it's just the bottom of the ankle.
Right.
That's the sexiest part. You can't show it. So we condition people to things. But when people say like, oh, I want to make a lot of money, I'm like, I hear like, I need 1 million hammers. Like, why the fuck do you need 1 million hammers? Like, if you have a reason for that, let's go get you 1 million hammers.
Right.
But money is a tool. Stuff, dude. We have this Porsche 911 Carrera. My wife loves it, right? I'm 6'2".
You don't like it.
I ride in a truck, bro.
Yeah, I'm
cool.
I'm 6'3". I get it.
Now don't get me wrong. I love getting in it and making sure no police are around and seeing if I can hug that corner to 110 miles an hour. That's fun.
Right.
But we took it one time from here to Connecticut, like 2.5 hours away, and came back. And I was like, I never want to be in this car for that long ever. I'm cramped. But my point being, we buy this stuff, and then 6 months later, we're like, I need the new phone because the old phone's not good enough. I need the better shirt and the better thing. I just got to a place where my self-image, I believe this is it, to a place where I'm like, dude, I'm taken care of. Even in my worst, I've never had to experience some of the things you've experienced. I went through Ranger ROTC in college, right? They made me sleep outside for a week. I had to eat some bugs, but that's the only time I've ever had to sleep outside in my life. I've always had food around. There's always been, even in my worst, a generous person. I remember telling somebody when I was going through a tough time, like, dude, I can't even pay my electric bill. He literally stood up and lifted his pockets out and pulled out $60 and handed it to me. And I was kind of ashamed, and at the same time, I needed it. But dude, just humbled, like, I've never not been taken care of. So you get to a place in life where you realize that's the worst that can happen except dying. And now I don't even really, that's not scary to me. The next evolution of that is I want to go help someone else that's suffering because I don't suffer anymore. But we keep pushing people down and reminding them of how much they're struggling and suffering. And then we try to pretend that these people with all the money, like they don't suffer. Bullshit. Yes, they do. I coach them. I know they do. I know people that make $30 million a year and they're a head case because there are pillars to this thing, bro. There's faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun. And it's hard to keep all those pillars even when you're an entrepreneur or when you're a human.
Man, you just talk about your pillars. What is it? Was that the 5 Fs?
Yeah.
So we have something, and this isn't original to me, but I've adopted it with his permission. I went on another veteran creators podcast named Matthew Banco. We had a conversation about when you go into the military, you go through MEPS, military entry processing station. They don't have a MEPS to get out. And his version of MEPS to get out is mental, emotional, physical, social, and spiritual. Those are the 5 pillars, man. It's the same 5 pillars that you just named, right? Just different words for them. And I'm telling you, the first thing when I got out that went was the physical. I stopped. I stopped working out. I stopped going to PT, doing that shit. I also gained 100 fucking pounds.
Wow.
So, yeah, I've lost 100 pounds in the last year.
You look good, dude.
But I did, man. I gained 100 pounds. The social side of it was basically non-existent. You're 30 years old. You're a military retiree. All your friends are still in the army, or they're civilians who have, real jobs. So you're largely alone. You don't have that social aspect. You're drinking all the time, so you're pushing that shit away, right? I had zero spiritual anything whatsoever. And that's probably a whole podcast topic by itself because of the things we go and do and trying to have a relationship with God or the universe or whatever you're into. I'm not here to judge anybody for that, right? But man, as soon as I got a spiritual piece back in my life, wow, brother, wow, like, man, I don't have words to say how that's really changed me, but all of this stuff, the emotional, right? Learning how to be vulnerable and talk about those things that me personally, I was conditioned to not talk about. I was conditioned to compartmentalize those things because if I'm having a hard time with those and I go talk to somebody, my career is over. It's over. And I watched it happen to some of the best people I've ever known. They go get help for the mental side of it while we were in. And next thing you know, they're getting pulled off the line. They're getting sent to another unit. And 6 months later, they're out of the army. Like we're not teaching the right fucking things here. And it perpetuates all this shit at the end of the road when you get out. And and even just in general life, right? Like, and it's tough, man. But it's just funny that I talk to a lot of people and I give them the MEPS thing and you've got your 5 Fs and it's like, they're all the same things and we're all saying the same thing. And when you talk to people who are working on those 5 areas religiously, they're not unsuccessful. They're largely successful and moving the right direction and happy.
Dude, my whole experience of life was I wanted to simplify down to the most basic rules that create something that I'm a man, so I don't want to think about things all the time. I just want to do things all the time. That's just the kind of guy I am. So when I learned those, because someone taught them to me, I started going, there's no way to fail if you focus on these things continuously and not make excuses for them, right? And there's a lot, like, family is not just your family of origin. It's the selected family that you agree to be around, the community that you're building. Faith is not just faith in a higher power, although I highly recommend anybody, like, if you're disconnected, you're playing a victim role. Always. If you're disconnected from your higher power, you are in victim mode because you're not together. The physical part is like you said, dude, as soon as you're no longer required to do it, like either A, I'm successful, B, have a wife, I'm no longer in the military. It doesn't matter what the reason is. The first thing that we do is go, I don't fucking work out anymore.
Right.
And that's the beginning of the decline of all the other pillars for most of us dudes anyway.
Everything. Yeah. Yeah. I'm
then,
with you, man.
And then the financial part is only understanding that we've been programmed to be slave mentality people. I don't want money because of what it gets me. I want money because of what I can do with it for my purpose, to fan that flame to other people. And if we make some in the process, there is nothing wrong with that value exchange. That's what you were fighting for, is for our way of life. I'm okay with that. I like it way better than socialism. I like it way better than communism, any kind of dictatorship. And I don't want to go back to a monarchy, because that's the whole fucking reason that we had America to begin with, is because we had no representation for the taxation that we paid for. Kind of seems like, anyway, I digress. But yeah, bro, I just wanted to be simple with it. And then I wanted to be able to experience it. And then I wanted to be able to say, hey, man, quit getting so heady. I know you're all messed up in the head thinking, because I play golf a lot, right? I'll have people, bro, you're just a half of an inch too close to the ball. Everything else works, but you bought all this equipment, you paid for coaches, you joined 18 different courses. Bro, you're just a half inch too close to the ball. Chill out. It's fine. And then they hit it. That's what I needed for me in life, so that I could do one thing, be in flow. That makes me joyful, man. When hours go by and I have no idea what's happened, and I snap back and that was a perfect moment for me. I want more of those in my life, and I want to show other people how to live them too, because I see that pop out, the flame pop out when somebody goes into flow. When I see that big smile or that zoned out look and they're going for their art or doing whatever they're doing, I was like, dude, that's inspiring as hell. That's why I like watching athletes. That's why I like watching people do anything that's badass.
Yeah.
Agree? Do you disagree?
I don't, man. And I feel it too. Like you said, like when I see somebody come in the community and they post one of their wins based off of some advice that someone in the community gave them, I'm like, it's working. It's like, this is amazing. This is great. I just watched this person transform.
Yes.
And it's been a week. You know what I mean? Like, and when they came to me, or when I knew them before, when we were in the service, right? Like, I have a kid in there who struggled to be a decent soldier and has admitted that publicly now in the community. But now he gets it, and he sees, and he's unlocked like that next level for himself. And it's like, dude, this is so fucking cool. Like, I got to bring that out of him, and my community that I put together brought that out of him. And we can do this for so many more people, and I want to do it for so many more people. And it's just, yeah, I agree, man. Like, there's no better thing than that ever.
Have you written a book?
I have not, man.
Well, I know you're dude, you're not even a year into your business, so there's no judgment. It's just I think we should talk offline. I've got some ideas for you. And they're do them when you feel led to do them, kind of things, but for growth. I've had a lot of experience growing communities and stuff.
Yeah.
And I want to see you win. We got to run now. I want to have you back on. Are you willing?
Yeah, absolutely, brother.
Maybe we can go a deeper dive. Like, instead of a half hour, take an hour, hour and a half. Like, just
absolutely
chop it up. Okay.
I would be so grateful to do that, man.
Of course, brother. I'd be grateful too. So if people want to find you personally, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
thestrategicveteran.com. You find everything I'm doing on the website. If you don't want to go to my website, find me on LinkedIn, Adam Peters. You can't miss me. It's 2 little salute emojis next to my name, thanks to somebody who was along the journey that suggested I do that and brand myself that way. So yeah, that's primarily where I'm at. I do have all the other socials. They're very unimportant to me, so don't go seeking them out. LinkedIn and my website are the primary ways. You can find everything from the podcast to the community to an about me, obviously, and all the socials on the website, thestrategicveteran.com.
strategicveteran.com. We have Adam Peters with us. He will be back on, and everybody, we'll see you in the trenches. Take care.
I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand.
Hey friend, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, please leave a review and subscribe to catch future casts. If you really enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it so others can benefit from it as well. I'll see you in the trenches.
Try to catch me howling at the moon.